Hi, this is Jackie from Homebodies Only, and as you probably know, I was planning to go solo and talk about the White Lotus, but I roped in my producer here, Jason. It took a lot of coaxing. No, he was like scratching at my door. He wanted to be on this show so badly. Especially for the fashion, I know that.
Right.
Right?
I'm a big fashion guy.
Totally.
Um,
So this is Homebodies Only, which I didn't say, where we welcome all bodies to join us as we break down and dissect HBO Max series. And this episode, we are talking about The White Lotus, Season 3, Episode 2, Special Treatments. Very special treatments. Okay, so I got my summary from TuneFind.com. As Kate and Jacqueline speculate about Laurie's divorce, Timothy continues to get distressing updates from his business. Later, Rick reluctantly opens up about his family trauma during a guided meditation with Amrita. Chelsea connects with expat Chloe, and Gaitak shares his feelings with Mook. All right, let's start with love. I have to say the soundtrack. I love their soundtrack. Oh my gosh, they just... Like, even when it's not a part that's stressful, you start getting stressed out. I love it. I love that Victoria Ratliff needs to take a pill for her massage because sometimes during them she can get stressed out. And she said she felt like she could be claustrophobic. I thought that was...
high-strong she is.
Yes, she's very high-strung. And she does look like she's always on something. But Parker Posey kind of has that look to her a little bit. I don't know.
The 90s were a rough time, man. Leave Parker Posey.
Yeah. True. Sorry. I will say, thank God I can't relate to that. I don't get anxious. That's one thing I don't get anxious for is massages. So, thank God. Saxon being disappointed with his massage because he didn't get what he thought.
We got to talk about that guy later.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I love him. I mean, I wouldn't in real life, but I love him. Porn Chai asks Belinda how she wants him, and she says, on my stomach, on your stomach. I thought that was great. And I just love how, I have it here, just love how douchey Saxon is. I just love it. And I loved the hammocks in the middle of the ocean. I'd like to do that, actually.
Would you want to go there?
I don't know. Good question. I don't think so. I think it's too far away.
It is
right?
very far away. It's on the other side of the earth.
Yeah.
It's also quite jungly. Like
yes.
They look like they're in the middle of a rainforest, which is not my ideal relaxing place to go.
The closest place I had to that was I went to Panama, and I went to an island off of another island. And then, which had life on it, people and stuff, but it was very small. And then we took a boat because the place we stayed at, we knew...
This is in your drug running
daughter.
days, I assume.
This was in my what?
This was in your drug running days, I assume.
Totally.
Living on the edge.
I know. Our friend, it was not, I think, like what you would expect. Our friend's mother, our friend grew up in Florida, and her mom got a place, like an Airbnb in Panama. It was on stilts in the water. It was gorgeous. And she obviously knew local people, and we took a boat to another island that was pure jungle. And we had a guide, a man with us, who had a machete to chop away at the greenery. And he had these boots on, like up to his thighs. And meanwhile, I'm like... in a sarong, like wrapped around skirt with my bathing suit, and I'm like, what? But thank God nothing happened. And he did talk about snakes.
I mean, okay, so maybe let me just preface this by saying I've lived in New York City a very long time.
Yes.
I've been here for like a really long time, and I'm very citified at this point. But being in the jungle with the animals and the heat and the humidity and what I'm sure are the biggest, scariest bugs you've ever seen.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, it does not sound like a vacation to me. It sounds like a horror movie.
It's torture.
It's When you see like lizards and snakes and monkeys and stuff, I have a whole thing with the monkeys.
I know they
But
bother
like
you.
they're they're very suspicious. Let's put it that way.
They are suspicious.
Suspicious monkeys.
You'd be sleeping with one eye open, right?
I mean, well, but
You never
yeah,
know.
I don't know. I mean, it looks nice, but I kind of think it looks better from a distance than it would be to like be there.
Right. And it
You know.
feels like nature is really just trying to take over continuously, right? Like, you obviously nature's always trying to take over, but there it's like, no, we don't want you. We don't want you here at all. Okay. Those are my loves. So, what you got for love?
All right. So, what did I love about this? First of all, I love the format. Format is of your show. Like, I love how you break it down into little categories like this.
Oh, good.
But like in terms of, so I love Chelsea, the little English girl. She is very funny, and very frank, and she seems like, one of the people that like, you ever been in a room full of sort of well-to-do people and everybody's sort of effete and fancy, and then you meet somebody who's just like a real person.
Yeah.
So I like that about her. I also loved her description of is it Radcliffe? How do you say it?
Ratliff.
The
It's
Ratliff
Ratliff, I
family
think.
as a family of
Of
wankers.
wankers.
Perfect. My other favorite character is the lady who also works at White Lotus, whose son Zion is in the first
Oh,
episode.
yes. Belinda.
Belinda. I like her a lot as
Yeah.
well. She's somebody that I would identify with because she's also like, this is a jungle,
Yeah.
you know.
She was scared a snake was going to fall on
And
her.
I mean, from a filmmaking aspect too, like
Oh, yeah.
it's just gorgeous. I mean,
Oh, my
everything,
gosh.
every shot looks great. The acting is really, really solid. They got some heavy hitters in this cast, and it's just really very, very, very well cast show. Like everybody seems very good, and they do start off. They start in media res, first episode. They get you right into it,
Oh, yeah.
and with the gunshot and everything. And I really also, not so much his character, but I love the actor Walton Goggins. I think he's terrific in this,
Yeah.
and also, I mean, Jason Isaacs is also fantastic. Like everybody's just really
Yeah.
solid, and the dynamics between everybody it's very interesting
Yeah.
because you have these little groups, and this is kind of like the White Lotus thing, where you have these little these subplots with each group of characters, and the ensemble is so you have the family with Parker Posey and Jason Isaacs, and then you have the group of the three women with Carrie Coon and Megan Monaghan, and they're all perfect. Like I feel like being around Hollywood types as long as I have, I think I've met these women, like, or I've met people like them. It's just it feels like you're kind of pulling back the curtain and seeing what they're like when they're not on, you know. And then I like the staff. I always like how they sort of usually have a subplot with the staff.
Yeah.
And in this particular episode, we got some action and some intrigue.
Yeah.
And I like the relationship that is forming between the little dinner that Walton Goggins and I'm trying to remember everybody's name.
Walton Goggins is Rick. Gary, aka Greg,
Right.
who why would he come to a White Lotus after?
That was very intriguing, and the fact that he's with that model
Model.
who he met from what was like a Dubai matchmaking
Dubai
service,
matchmaking. Yeah.
and I like her too so far. Like,
Yeah.
she seems great too, and their dynamic is really interesting. And it's sort of men of a certain age with
Yeah.
these younger women. I've also seen that as well, which like the type of thing where you go someplace and Can I digress for a minute and tell you a brief story?
Of course. Please digress.
I was out with an actress one time. We were working on a project together, and she was a 20-something, and we had a great time. She was great to talk to. She's very talented, but we would go over scripts together. And I'm old school. I love like diners and pubs. That's where I kind of go to. So we were sitting at a diner one night, and I'm having dinner with her, and we're talking over the script. And the waiter like takes our order or whatever, and he looks at me and says, "You must be so proud,"
Oh my
and
God.
walks away. And I was just like, why would he say that? And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, he thinks I'm your father.
Oh my gosh. Wait.
I have never felt so like,
Oh God.
I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I have to punch that guy now? What do I do?
Wow.
Man,
And how long ago was this?
long enough ago that I didn't look as old as I do now. Like,
Were you even old enough to be your father? Like what?
I mean,
Technically?
if
At that time? That's what
I would have had to, when she was, yeah, I would have had to have her when I was like 18 or something.
Okay.
I would have been a very young dad
Yes.
if that were the case.
Oh, ew.
But yeah, but I couldn't tell. I was like, is he saying that because he thinks you're my girlfriend or because he thinks I'm
Right.
your dad?
Which one is it? Oh my God.
And there are those instances where you can't tell.
No.
When you see the older man walking the younger, and you're like, is that his wife or his girlfriend or his daughter? And
Yeah.
that's a whole. But it's a thing.
It's a thing.
The May
It's
December
real.
romance is definitely a
Yep.
thing.
Yep. Yep. That's what you got?
That's what I got for
love.
love.
For love. Okay.
Yeah.
Hate. I hated when the dude was checking out Piper during her yoga. I hated that. I thought that was
Wait, which
grossed out.
the-
He was just he was a bald guy. He was one of the bald guys. Remember what's her name? What she called
Right.
him? Chelsea B. No, it wasn't Chelsea. It was Chloe. She had I think that was in the last episode. Bald
He was like old bald white men or something
or
like
something
that.
like
Just
that.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. He kept looking
There's a bunch
at
of
her
them
and
here in
turning around.
Tyler.
Yeah. That just was. I hated that part. I hated when Porn Chai cracks Belinda's neck because I'm not into that. I don't go to the chiropractor. I don't even like it if my knuckles crack. I just would never. I've never gotten that done. So
Yeah, no,
it's
thank
not
you.
a huge like. Oh my God, that was terrible. But I hated Gay Talk telling Mook that he likes her. It was so awkward. I mean, it was such a good scene, but I was like, oh,
You empathize.
I felt bad. Yeah.
You empathize with him.
Yes.
Yeah, and-
of course, he has
Yeah.
the sweetest face, but he could be the shooter.
I like that character.
Yeah.
I like her too. She's
Oh
adorable.
yeah, you know who she looks like, and it dawned on me. I was actually talking to my husband about the show because he's been watching it. She kind of looks like Jessica Alba in the eyes. I might put a picture up next to each other. Maybe I haven't seen Jessica Alba lately, but like in when she did Honey, that was her big thing. There was something Jessica Alba about her eyes. That's really it.
As far as hates, that was the.
That was it.
Okay. I don't really hate things. I don't. I'm not.
Yeah,
a
they don't
hater,
have to be like.
kind of, and I don't like looking for things to hate. But the one thing that everything about the Patrick Schwarzenegger Saxon character makes my skin crawl. Like that guy is the reason why people hate men, and I want to abolish him from existence. I just no more. I just want to like get rid of all the bros. Like no more tech bros, no more finance bros, no more gym bros. Like just can we please lose this in our culture?
Yeah.
And that guy is
Yeah.
so. I mean, I don't use
That's why I
words
love
like icky or anything like that, but he just grosses
he's
me
gross.
out.
He's gross.
And one of the things that I really liked about Chelsea's character is that she sees him from a
She's
mile
not
away.
into him. Yeah, yeah.
She just sees him like, I mean, he's a very good-looking kid.
Yeah.
But she's just she's not fooled.
No.
And I really like that she's got. I mean, she's not like the most savvy, suave, sophisticated,
Right.
but she's got street smarts.
Yes.
And she's, she knows a lecherous, gross dude when she sees one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, yeah, of course you want to hate him, but I
Right.
I laugh at him.
And you wonder, like, is he a suspect, or is he a victim? Is he one of the people who gets shot?
because, oh
'Cause he's
yeah,
so terrible. Like, did he piss off the wrong person?
right.
Because we do not know the cause.
I feel like he's gonna survive.
Yeah,
He's
probably.
just a bro.
Probably. Yeah.
He will. He'll survive.
Sure.
For I can relate. I didn't write anything down, but I don't know if I forgot. I was thinking though about the three ladies. I hate to say people do tend to people, not me, tend to talk about.
Sure. Sure. Let's go with that. That's never happened to you.
No, it's never happened. So I can relate to that. I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I assume that you've never had a "who's your guy? My guy's better. Your guy is better than my guy"
No,
conversation.
no, that I've never. No,
Yeah,
definitely not.
that's that's a different circle. That's a different, like, that's like a different social aspect, I think, where where it's like it's obvious that all of these women have had some work done, and
right.
they're comparing work.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I could relate to that as well. Not from a bro perspective, like that's never my circle of friends. That's never
Yeah.
happened to me.
Yeah.
But I used to work in fashion years ago, and I worked in a department that was all women. I was the only guy
Wow.
out of about 15, 20 people.
Wow.
And the way women would talk about other women, and the things that they would say to each other, and it was just like I had a few flashbacks.
Wow.
Like, not so much that type of conversation, but the way, like, the sort of cattiness when two are alone with the third, and they start gossiping and say, "Oh, what do you think?" They start silently judging each other. Like,
Yeah.
it's I mean, very realistic.
Yes.
Did you have any more of I could relate?
No, because I didn't put anything down.
I feel like I could sympathize with Carrie Coon's character, because she's probably she's one of these people that's like supposed to have, she's at a certain age and she's supposed to have it all together, and it seems like her whole life has fallen apart, and she's probably in this stage where she has to, like, reinvent herself, and she didn't get the promotion she wanted, and her kid is not great, and divorce, and I think a lot of people, when they get to that certain stage of life, go through this reinvention,
Yeah.
because something awful happens, and you have to, like, just get it together and regroup and reinvent and start over again.
Yeah.
Also, she's a terrific actress, and she
Oh
can
my
kind of
gosh.
do anything.
Yeah.
I almost interviewed her at Tribeca last year.
Oh wow.
We just missed her because she was in this movie with Shea Wiggum, and I did get him briefly. And I kept trying to get her to come over, but they kept wanting to take her pictures. But she had that short blonde hair, and we were like, "What's that about?" 'Cause she didn't
Right.
look like that.
Wow.
And I think it was for this.
Yeah.
This was the look that she was probably shooting White Lotus at the time.
Was that in the fall?
It was
this
just
past
before the fall. It was in the summer. It was in June. So she probably was getting ready to fly off to wherever the hell they shot
Thailand.
this, Thailand, to do that. But she looked terrific. And I remember the woman next to me on the press line, she was like, "How does she look like that?" I'm like, people in her circle have access to things that normal human beings don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are spas, there are medications, there are,
Magic.
there's
There's magic wands.
there's magic doctors and so forth. And she's at a level right now where she's probably in that circle, but she looked great.
Yeah.
She looked like Marilyn Monroe. It was amazing.
Oh wow. Well, that's funny you mentioned. So I didn't mention. I did mention in the last episode that I went to the Woodstock Film Festival, thanks to you, and reviewed movies. And that's where I saw Walton Goggins in real life because his wife wrote and directed, I believe, The Uninvited. And I went to that premiere and he was there, and so was Parker Posey. He had that hair. You know, I don't know if he's keeping his hair still like that, but I remember I was like, well, it's kind of like,
He was a little shaggy.
just looked a little shaggy,
Yeah.
and it was probably for White Lotus. I don't know, because I really wasn't familiar with him before I saw The Uninvited.
He's been in a ton of things, and he sort of
I heard,
pops
yeah.
up, and you're like, oh, he's in this. You know, he's been on a ton of things on television. I
Yeah.
mean, he was in one of the Ant-Man. I was in the second Ant-Man movie as one of the villains. You know, he's very versatile. He's like a Shea Wiggum is like that too. He's one of these sort of throwback actors, character actor that you just find in stuff, and you know they work forever. Like they just keep because they're very versatile and they can do almost anything, and they have a certain look where they just sort of fit.
Yeah.
Where they're not too particular looking, but they don't look plain. I think one of the things about actors now that I'm not crazy about is everybody just sort of looks like handsome actor man.
Right.
And they don't have like distinctive faces, like where you could line five of them up and you couldn't tell which one was which because they all look the same.
Yeah.
But he's not one of those guys. He's got a look to him, and in this role too, what I like is that he has a very you don't know quite, something's going on, but you don't know what he's up to.
Yeah.
And I feel like this episode we got secrets and hidden agendas. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like finding out where this is all coming from.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job at the sort of slow
Yep.
unveiling kind of thing. And
But keeping you interested too.
like with Jason Isaac's character and the phone call, and then Walton Goggins is like spying on the woman who runs the hotel because he's trying to get to her husband, but we don't know why he's trying to get to her husband.
Yep.
So, that's all very interesting stuff too. And also the way he is with his girlfriend and how you can see he just does not respect her and does not want to let her in to anything that he's doing. And then you find out later about his childhood.
Oh my gosh.
He's got like this awful backstory.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's all related to it. The fact that he won't say what he does. So I think that's all interesting, and it makes for interesting characters. And I'm hoping. Here's the thing, though. You can only hope that they pay off, because it's very unsatisfying when they don't. Like when you see a film, and they start out with a character, and you look at that character, and especially like a murder mystery or something, and they point to something. Oh, this could be sinister, and then nothing happens with it.
Right.
It's very unsatisfying.
Yeah.
But if they pay it off in some way, even if it's a way you didn't suspect, and we have some of that too, which we'll talk about later with this episode. But I think there could be something. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. That's all I'll say. I don't want to wildly speculate too much, but
I think with the other seasons they did a good job with that. I thought so. Hopefully.
Yeah, and they're very good at also mixing in like comedy and
Yes.
things like that too. I miss Jennifer Coolidge a little bit from last season. She's so funny.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
The thing with her on the boat. Oh my God, she was hilarious.
When she actually died, I was like, no, that's not how she's going down. No.
Yeah, I was like,
that surprised
no,
me.
you got to bring her back.
I know. I know.
I thought she was going to be the one constant in
the one thread. Like, no, now it's going to be Gary Gregg.
right. Which
Or Belinda Mill.
I don't really like him.
No, Belinda actually was not in season 2, so I can't say Belinda. Okay, fashion. Let's go to fashion.
I'm sure you have things.
I have a lot of things. Okay, Lockie's Pringles boxer briefs, which I didn't notice them till I went on Shop Your TV to look something else up, and a picture of him pops up, and I was like, this isn't this episode. So I went back. It's in one of the first scenes when we see once again Saxon's butt. And Lockie is looking at it kind of oddly. And he gets up and goes into the bathroom. And he is wearing these Pringles box of sour cream and onion. And
I was not looking at his
I'm sure you weren't. And I really didn't see it because the way they cut him, I really didn't see it.
Oh yeah, I don't think you see it that much.
You don't.
You see plenty of Saxon.
You do.
I have seen all of that man I need to. For roughly forever.
Yeah. So these are on Amazon, and they're by Odd Socks, and they are $22.99. Next thing was Belinda's pajamas. When she first wakes up, it's a robe, it's a kimono. Well, I'm calling it a kimono, but I think
he comes to pick her up because he's going to show her around the place.
Well, it was before that. It was right when she woke up. The alarm goes off. She's like, "Where am I?"
Right.
Let's see. They're by Bonnie must be on, and it's the Alder kimono and then the Alder pant, but they of course are out of stock. The kimono originally was $350 down to $175, and the Alder pant was $270 and went to $135. But I Google lensed it and found similar, especially the pants by Belle Kazan. I went to a rabbit hole with the Google lens. Oh my gosh, I'm like, ah! But I didn't see that same pattern or colors. The colors were beautiful. They were like a darker turquoise and red, I think. So I really liked that.
Can I give you an interesting insider movie making thing about costumes?
Yes.
So I was just on a movie late last year. Mm-hmm. And I actually interviewed the costume designer for it.
Awesome.
And so when you're doing contemporary costumes, like not period costumes, mm-hmm. you don't make everything. You just buy stuff. And what they do is they just buy like a massive amount of clothes that they think might work, and they try them on the actors, and they put it in front of the director, and the director says yes or no. And then there are entire racks of clothing that just go back to the stores.
Wow.
They just it's like, if you were shopping for something and you didn't know what you wanted, so you bought 5 outfits.
Right.
Except, you're doing that for every person on the movie.
Yeah.
For like every character.
Yeah.
We like this trench coat and this suit, but we don't like these shoes. And, it's a massive, there was an entire room filled with just racks of clothes and stuff that was getting shipped out of there.
Wow.
Like, oh, that's all going,
wow.
Back kind of thing. And some poor costume PA has to coordinate all that stuff to go back to, whatever stores they're going for. But I just thought it was interesting that when you see stuff like this, first of all, what the budget must be for costumes, which has got to be out of this world. And this is part of the reason why movies cost so much. Because look at how many people are in this show, and those are just principals. Yeah. That's not, because they're dressing every extra as well. So they're dressing, everybody in that frame is getting dressed by costumiers and costume design, and they're going through a whole, every day they're going into, they go into makeup, and then they go into costumes, and then finally when they come out, they work. But there's a whole, it's almost like an assembly line that everybody goes through. You get in, it's call time, you have your donut and your coffee or whatever, and then you're in the makeup chair, and then next thing you know, you're getting sent to wardrobe outfits you. Then you go to set, and sometimes the director wants to change, so you have to go back to wardrobe and get changed again.
I can imagine.
And it's everything about making a movie is a huge pain in the ass. It's very, very tedious in that way.
And thought behind every detail, right?
And then when you see this stuff, it's just like, oh my God. How much? First of all, how do they find this location?
Right.
Looks like it's in the middle of the woods. Anyway, I'm sorry you were talking
That's okay.
about those.
No, that's interesting. And also, when I watched the first season of The White Lotus, actually, it was one of the shows that inspired me to do a podcast about HBO shows because I was so intrigued by it. And I would look at the clothes and notice like the newlywed couple. Sometimes their clothes matched the color of the wallpaper in the room. And I'm like, this is done on purpose. Or sometimes, too, I had heard this a long time ago that some shows, I don't know about movies, where they will dress people in similar colors that they want you to want them to be together, that type of thing. So I find it so interesting, the clothing, because I know there's so much.
There are
behind it.
loads of color theory and things like that, and sometimes it's an actor's particular style. If you have a star that it looks good in a certain thing,
Okay.
like in the in the 40s, 50s, in the early day, in the sort of golden age of Hollywood, when they were making a lot of cowboy pictures. If you look at Jimmy Stewart, or if you look at some of these old Gary Cooper, somebody like that, they're wearing the same hat in every Western
Because it looks the
because
best on them.
it's really hard to get a cowboy hat that looks good on you. So they would like, nope, I'm wearing this one, and they would take it from movie to movie, and they always wore the same cowboy hat because it's really hard to find a good cowboy hat.
Wow. They save money.
Yeah, and sometimes you have deals with designers too, like
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it'll be a particular, John Ford or Armani is doing the men, and then somebody else is doing the women. Oddly enough, whenever you see I've seen quite a few films where the priest, if there's a priest in the film,
Yeah.
is wearing the black priest thing with the Armani.
Wow.
They're all wearing like
That's
high styling,
That's hysterical.
like so not, vow of poverty.
Right.
He's wearing an $800 suit
Why?
with a turnaround collar because it looks good.
Because it looks good.
Because it looks great on camera. That's what the costume
what it's about.
designer would
Yeah.
say.
All right. The next thing I loved was Kate's striped silver and black caftan. It was dinner time, and this is insane. So it's $1,500. Okay.
That's another thing with this show. I mean, everything is going to be, with probably the exception of like the uniforms of the people who work there and the security and things like that. Everything's going to be super expensive because all of these people are fancy.
Right.
All of these people, are
They would be wearing them.
right.
Wearing these things.
And they don't care about how much they spend on, on clothes,
Yeah.
and they'll just buy whatever. In fact, we got a great shopping scene too, with the two women.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I have to find. I can't believe I don't have the brand here, but it is. I was like, what is this made of? Do you say jacquard? Do you know how to say that one? Jacquard, J-A-C.
No idea.
Okay, it's jacquard. It's made in Italy. It's 80% silk and 20% polyester. I don't know. I was like, what? That one did shock me. I mean, I know. But $1,500. I mean, anyway, maybe if I had that money, I guess I would.
yeah, I mean, it's all relative. What their percentage of what they're buying for their personal wardrobe is like probably what you'd buy, but they have a different bank account. So, like,
Yes. And that one I didn't Google Lens. I was going to try to Google Lens to find something similar, but then I didn't get a chance to. I also loved Jacqueline's, this was all at the dinner, Jacqueline's sequin. I didn't realize it was Valentino till I searched it up, and then actually when I watched it the second time, Valentino mini dress. It actually says Valentino on it in rainbow colors. It was unavailable, could not find it at all. I mean, Valentino, you can just imagine how much that is. I did find a similar that I would say was the most similar when I was searching. It didn't have any writing on it. It was basically a sequined wrap dress. It was $50. So, I think that's it for the fashion for this one. I had a lot more on the other one.
There's a lot. One thing is interesting too is like it's all summer beach and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the character names. I tend to remember actor names better than
Right.
character names. But they do seem, everybody seems to be fit very well in terms of what everything seems to fit the characters very well. Mm-hmm. And it's giving you sort of hints about the characters because you don't know them that well yet.
Right.
So I'm interested to see. Also, are people going to fall apart eventually? Because everybody looks sort of very pressed and
Yes.
pristine
Yeah.
right now. But are
Right.
they going to look like a rumpled up ball of panic by the
Yeah.
time the incident goes down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we saw Carrie Coon unravel, or her character, Lori, unravel a little bit. And then she buttoned it up. Yep, real fast. So who's the shooter? We'll go to who's the shooter. I'm still leaning towards Lockie.
Wait, okay, whoa,
Wait.
why him?
Because he's...
My only thing about that kid,
something with him.
is he's either in love with his sister,
Or his brother.
or he's a closeted homosexual.
Yeah.
I can't figure out which one.
Right.
But or maybe he's just trying to find himself, kind of thing. But it is weird. Like there's a little he sort of seems to fetishize his brother a little bit, and
he makes these faces that are, to me, where it's like, oh, that's the sweet kid, and then you see this face go dark. When he was like looking at him, I'm like, oh, there's something up with him. He's my least favorite character, actually.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's an awesome actor.
you think
And
you think it's a veneer, you think it's a facade, the sweet kid facade,
Yes.
and he's really sinister underneath, or there's something that's gonna
I think
snap.
he's broken. Yeah, I think that he holds a lot in. Like when they're talking about the college thing, and the dad's like, "You're going to Duke, right? Duke," and I don't know. There's stuff there. There's stuff there with him.
He does seem quite put upon by both the dad and his brother. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
he could snap.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still leaning toward him. I might be wrong. So he kept reminding me, you're going to die. Okay. He kept reminding me of someone, and I was like, who is it? Who is it? Then all of a sudden it dawned on me. Have you seen Coraline?
Yeah, I love Coraline. We
He
did an
looks like
episode about
Wybie.
this film.
Wait,
He looks like a stop motion character.
he looks like Wybie. He has the curly hair. He did this thing at dinner, and that's when it hit me. When they were laughing about, I think this was the part where the mom was saying, where Victoria there, Parker Posey, was saying how her brother would go to spit a loogie on her and then suck it back up. I will tell you, I don't know if he's going to watch it. My mother-in-law did that to my husband. I was like, what? Anyway, and he hunched down for a second, and he did this little look, and he made this face. I'm like, Wybie. He's Wybie from Coraline. And I actually took a picture. So I got a picture of Wybie and a picture of him doing that hunch. I have a side-by-side. It's going to be in this video. And it's perfection. I showed it to my son because he was the one who got me into Coraline. And I said, doesn't he look like him? Yeah. So I went to, this isn't who's the shooter, but theories on the theft. This is my theory of the store, the jewelry store, the store.
Okay, so set this up. So the two girls, Chelsea and the
and Chloe, the
working
model
girl slash model, they go to the store with Greg's credit card.
Yeah.
Because he's been awful to her.
Yes.
And she's taken his credit card. And they go to this little shop because they go to shop there on the island. Now they're not staying there; they live there. They live in
they
Thailand.
live up on the mountain.
She just goes to the bar and to the shops and stuff.
Yeah.
So they go in there, and then a masked armed gunman, who is most likely male,
Yes.
given the shape and size, comes and steals a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
Threatens them with a gun, and the model, what's her name again?
Chloe.
Chloe, the French Canadian girl. She's in the dressing room,
Yes.
so she doesn't see what happens.
No.
Conveniently.
That's convenient too.
And then
yeah.
he absconds. They take off in a car. Him and his partner. He has a partner, which we don't see, who's driving the truck.
Yes. We see like his arm or something.
And I didn't realize in Thailand they drive on the other side of the road. But that's apparently a thing. So then
Yeah, you're right.
And he assaults our friendly guard who's in love with Mook, and they get away.
Yes.
Now we see a gun. Mm-hmm. But I have a theory. Do you have a theory?
Well, Valentine, the hot, quote unquote, trainer guy or whatever he is, wellness coach, pulls up, starts talking to Gaytok, distracting him, blah, blah, blah. The van drives or the car drives by, and Gaytok's like, what? And Valentine kind of looks at it, and
You think it's an inside job? I think
yes.
it's an inside
Yeah,
job.
and I think those were maybe the security guards, possibly, but they were not security guards. I'm sorry, the guards who Mook was talking to in the first episode, and Gaytok was
the
getting
two guys that were
jealous.
Yeah.
They were bodyguards. Sorry for oh my gosh, I forgot her name. Shri, the owner of
Okay.
the wellness center.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of I was like, maybe it was them. I mean, they had similar builds, but
Yeah.
so I think it's an inside
We
job.
do get the
Yeah.
feeling, and I thought the sexy masseuse dude, I thought I was suspect of that dude right from, I was like, this, because he's telling all the women your numbers are half for a woman.
That's
half your
Valentine.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
Oh,
I'm like, yeah, that dude is totally sus. I bet he either sleeps with all these guests
Yep.
or he rips them off somehow.
Yeah.
He gets them to give them money
Yep.
or give him money or whatever. But yeah, that was definitely suspect. Mm-hmm. And then the interesting thing is like, so does everybody know what Chekhov's gun is? Do you know
I
that
don't know
expression? Okay,
No.
so in drama, Anton Chekhov, the famous playwright, he had this saying. It was like a rule for playwriting: if you show a gun in Act 1, it has to go off in Act 2. Like you have to essentially, if you're gonna foreshadow it, it's got to go off, and it's literal in a case of a gun, but it could also be a sinister character, another type of weapon, whatever. It's foreshadowing. It's set up and payoff. It's the basic rule of set up and payoff. What I think this is, I think it's a misdirect. I think this gun is not the gun
No.
that involved in the shooting. And I also think it's not a real gun.
Oh.
I think it's it might be like a replica or something, because he never fires it
No.
at anybody.
doesn't. He just
threatens-
bangs the glass. He breaks the glass.
He breaks
right?
the glass with it. He hits.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot the glass.
But he doesn't shoot. He doesn't shoot anybody.
I didn't think about that.
We never see the gun go off. So I suspect this was the conspiracy of burglars is like, hey guys, nobody's going to get hurt. We're not using a loaded weapon. If it's a real weapon, I don't think it was loaded.
Right.
Because otherwise, to threaten people, he might have fired it or something,
Right.
to scare them. But we don't see it go off. So it might not be a real gun, or it could have just been a not loaded gun. But I feel like that gun is you're meant to think, oh, that's the gun that went off in the flash forward of
Right.
episode 1. But I don't think it is. I think that's a different gun.
Oh.
I think
Yeah.
there's I think it
I
might be a
agree.
different thing.
Yeah.
If it is, I mean, sure, it'll work. But I thought that might be just a wee bit obvious showing it in the second episode.
No, I don't think it is either.
I'm always very suspect when something's obvious.
Yeah.
Oh,
especially in this show.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think? Do you have any other shooter theories?
Well, every time I see anyone, I'm like, he's the shooter. They're the shooter. Could they be the shooter? I'm like, Belinda's the shooter? I'm like,
I don't.
I go all over the place. But
Yeah.
I there's something about Lockie that I just have something about him.
I do. I have this crazy theory that it might be one of the monkeys.
I know you do.
I thought maybe a gun is ditched or thrown into the jungle. A monkey gets hold of it and fires it, and then maybe another monkey fires
But
it.
then he
and
keeps going. It wasn't just like a one shot because you
Right.
hear.
Right. I mean,
And then a
monkeys
dead
are
body
suspect.
floats by.
Monkeys are suspect.
They
They're-
are suspect. I
They're,
agree.
They're crafty little creatures.
They
They're
are.
practically humans. They got hands. They could.
They do.
They could pull a trigger.
They can swing. They can practically fly.
Yeah.
Really.
So you
about
never
that.
know with monkeys, but I
I don't think White Lotus would go there though. I don't think Mike White, isn't that his name?
Mike White. Yeah. So do you know who Mike White is, by the way? Do you know his
No.
work? He's an actor as well.
Okay.
He was in some indie films in the 90s.
Okay.
He is also the guy who wrote and co-stars in School of Rock with
Oh,
Jack
Jack
Black.
Oh my gosh.
So you got Mike White and Jack Black.
Oh, yeah.
But he plays the friend whose girlfriend is Sarah Silverman, and she wants to kick him out of the apartment.
I haven't seen that.
But that's Mike White.
Oh, yeah. I didn't do any kind of deep dive into him. Oh, there. Yes. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize he was the writer of this. I totally recognize him.
Yeah, he's a writer, director, and creator of it. Very talented guy.
That's great. Okay. I'll put his picture up.
Do you have predictions? Do you have any bold predictions?
Oh man, this show, I'm just like, huh? I really haven't let myself even go there yet too much.
I think there's going to be some blowouts among the characters.
Yeah.
Carrie, Coon, and Michelle Monaghan and Leslie Bibb. I think probably Carrie Coon is going to explode and just go off on her friends, or there's going to be a big fight. I could also see something happening. So we have this whole situation with Jason Isaacs' character, who was involved in something where that was illegal, he
only made $10 million.
Money laundering, some kind of white-collar rich guy crime.
Yeah.
And according to his partner, who we don't see,
right,
he's implicated and better get himself a lawyer. So that could come out in the wash and ruin everything for the family.
Yeah.
So there's seeds. This whole episode was about planting seeds for future. It's like planting landmines.
Yeah.
For,
very
future
tense
explosions. Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, I think it's it's good writing for one thing. And we have good writing, good acting. The first season, I saw some of the first season. I wasn't crazy about it.
Oh, really?
I was not quite into it. The second season I thought was better, but mainly a lot of it was Jennifer Coolidge, because she's. And then they also had, F. Murray Abraham was in that, and he was terrific. But again, the family dynamic, in that one we had the son, the father, and the grandfather.
Right.
And they were like a little triplet together. And then we had the two working girls who were working the hotel. And then you had Jennifer Coolidge and her whole situation.
Yeah.
So it seems to be that's the formula that works.
Yeah.
So you have these little sort of dynamics between these people. And then there's also a conflict that's being set up between Walton Goggins and Jason Isaacs' character.
Yeah.
And then there's also, you don't know what's going to happen with Gary/Greg and Walton Goggins' character either.
Yeah.
Because they do this and that for a living.
And Belinda might eventually remember who Greg Gary is. I don't know. I don't know if that'll do anything.
Yeah, maybe she'll.
That's another one.
So the other thing is do we see who gets shot in episode 1? We see sort of a.
No, we see a body.
We see a body, but we don't know who it is.
No.
All right,
No.
so that's going to be interesting as well.
Yeah.
Which season 2 started out the same way.
Yep.
It was sort of bodies floating.
Yes.
Ominous.
Yes.
But you'd think that at some point, White Lotus wouldn't get that great. They're getting bad Yelp reviews for the murders. They went all these rich people. They wanted this exclusive place to go.
Right. I don't know how this not because the first one, I think we see the coffin coming off the plane. Right.
Right. And and then the second one, it's like the people are pulling in.
Someone's swimming and they're like, ah! They start screaming. Right. Yeah. I want to go for one last swim.
I don't know. I'm not. My TripAdvisor review is not going to be great.
I don't know. Did they hear about this? I know that. How many more seasons can they have?
You think White Lotus is some sort of all-powerful, sinister corporation? Right. They could catch and kill all these stories that are coming about them. But it's getting to be like Cabot Cove, Maine. Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
is
anybody in this town left alive? Is this woman just murdering people? Every time somebody met that woman, somebody died. She was like the kiss of death, man. Every time she rolled into town, somebody's getting off. And then in this place, it's like, I don't know. You want to go to White Lotus? I don't know. What's the chances we'll survive?
Yeah. Between the jungle and the murders that happen.
We got rampant monkeys, lizards, gunshots.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say something about the first season. I started watching it. My husband had watched it, and I was like, this makes me very uncomfortable. I was like, I don't think I like it. I don't think I like the characters. And he's like, just keep watching, just keep watching. And it took me a little while, but I did get very sucked into it. But I remember the whole time I watched it, I felt hot, sweaty, I could feel that everybody felt really sticky, and just I felt like I had a fever with that first season, more than like the second. The second season, not that I didn't want to watch it, I just didn't get to watch it. And I'll be honest, I found out Leo Woodall was in it, and I had watched him in One Day on Netflix. I don't know if you know who he is. He's very, very cute. And I was like, oh, I want to watch this now. So Leo Woodall in the second season was the nephew, quote unquote, of the man who was like trying to kill on the boat.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And he was not his nephew.
I see.
And he gets with Jennifer Coolidge's assistant really to distract her.
Right.
So that's Leo Woodall. So then
Yeah, this season's it's the first two. I thought the first two episodes were really good.
Yeah.
And they also, you can tell, and this is just the savvy producer in me, but you can tell when HBO believes in a show because if they give it that Sunday evening slot.
Right.
You gotta remember the Sunday evening slot is like Sopranos, Game of Thrones,
Sex and the City.
Yeah, like that is the marquee. That's when, I don't know what magical algorithm thing they use to figure out when people are watching.
Yeah.
But that is like the magic prime. That is HBO's prime time slot.
That's true.
So that's how you can tell they really believe in a show by giving it that time slot. Westworld was in that time slot. Okay. And it's also the one you can tell that the money is flowing on these shows. Like, when I watch these shows just from like an objective producer point of view, I'm just like, my God, look at the money on screen. This just, because it takes rich people to outfit a bunch of people who are supposed to be playing rich people.
Right.
But like that whole like planes and boats and private islands and stuff like that, it's hard to do that on a low budget.
I skimmed through an interview with the actress who plays Amrita, the meditation.
Oh, she's great.
Guide. And she was saying I think they asked something about staying in a place like that. She's like, I can't afford to stay in a place like that. I was like, there you go.
Yeah. It's also in places like Thailand or India, sometimes part of the theme will be you have these incredibly affluent, well-to-do folks, and like if you go 6 inches away from the resort, it's abject poverty.
Yes.
And you see the people who work and take care of these people, and the contrast between their life and the people who are staying there. It's a juxtaposition of haves and have-nots.
Yeah.
That it's staggering.
Yeah.
And and a good show could point that out to you without shoving your face in, like without sort of subtly in subtext and stuff. And you do see that in White Lotus with like last season we had it with the girls who were sort of working the resort but couldn't afford to stay at the resort.
Yeah.
And the people who work there and how they feel about the people who stay there.
Yes.
That kind of thing, which makes for great drama and also great suspects.
Yeah.
When you see that sort of thing, because people can be motivated by nefarious means of getting money, and so that kind of thing. So it's I'm curious to see more. When you first started doing this, I was like, do I want to watch that show? And then I watched the first episode. Oh, it's pretty good. I'll watch the second one. All
right.
So I'm into it now. I'll check it out.
All right, great. So we'll tell people where they can find us.
All right, so this show and our other shows are on the BTRP Media Network, on btrpmedia.com, and that includes Homebodies Only and Made with Jackie Hansel. It also includes my show, No Rest for the Weekend. And we just started a new YouTube channel. So No Rest for the Weekend, when we first started out, it was more filmmaker, content creator oriented, and we used to do camera reviews. And some of those videos actually did quite well. But the show has sort of morphed more into entertainment news, film festival coverage, and interviews and things like that. So I started a new channel that is now geared toward reviewing cameras and giving content creators options to different tools that they can use for content creation, filmmaking. That's not on the main channel. It's not a No Rest of the Weekend episode. So I'll see how it does. I mean, hopefully people will like it. But I just put like a couple of videos up there now, and on No Rest of the Weekend, we just did our 3rd annual award show, which people can check out. We talk about our favorite movies, our picks from 2024. We break it down by genre, and then we do a best picture at the end. If you haven't seen that, check that out. It's a lot of fun. And then we'll have Sundance Films coverage and Slam Dance coverage and a bunch of stuff. And you can check that out at youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit.
And what's the name of the new channel?
The new channel is youtube.com/BTRabbitReviews.
Okay. I'll link it.
Cool. Very cool.
Of course. All right. And obviously you can find Homebodies Only at homebodiesonly.com. And we have Homebodies Only _pod on Instagram, Homebodies Only podcast on TikTok. And I think that's it.
And podcast channels.
And all podcast platforms to listen to it.
All right, cool. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right, everyone.
So you want to do this again next week?
Yes.
All right. Let's do it.
Bye.
This is the BTRP Media Network.